Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. We'll start at 4.05. We'll wait for 3 minutes more. Only 10 have joined. Okay. Babita, चार करी रखी थी इसका मुझे पिया पियो. Okay. It's now 4.5, 4 p.m. 5 minutes. So today we'll discuss. Actually, I am sorry because Tanuja has also seen my message. Actually, I thought yesterday was 10th, so I was faultily under the notion. And some of you rang up, the center rang up. I was busy with some other work. I thought today is 11. So anyhow, the IGNO center talked with me. They said, "Sir, you have not taken class yesterday." I said, "Yes, I am not taken up because I thought it was 10th." So today's class will be taken on Sunday, 17th, 11 a.m. So please convey this message to all others. I have also given this message to the group, in the group, posted it in the group. So today we'll discuss 12 lessons, that is Indian English poetry. So Indian English poetry, how did it all start? What is the history, brief history of this poetry? Who started it? Who is the father of Indian English poetry? And we'll also discuss specific poets like Toru Dutt and Henry Dereggio. So these are the things which we'll be doing. First thing is how did, because English is a foreign language and English came to India because of. Are you listening, children?
Yes, sir.
All of you listening?
Yes,
Am
sir.
I audible?
Yes,
Audible?
sir.
Audible? Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So, if you go to the historical background of Indian English literature, what you call Indian English literature today was called Indo-Anglian literature in the past, because basically it was Indo-Anglian. Why? The Anglian language or English language, but the Indians were using it as a second language. So Indo-Anglian. And afterwards, it came to be known as Indian English literature. So it has a long history, which I will make it very short. Basically, it started with the colonization. After colonization, the effect English, as you know, is the impact of, or is the issue of, is the child of English is the child of colonization, and it was a language of domination for the Britishers, but it became the language of what they were trying to dominate us, by rule us through this language. But this language of domination became the language of liberation, because all elite class who have framed your constitution, etc., all those people, be it Ambedkarji or Nehru or Gandhiji or anybody, those who were at the helm of affairs. I don't say that other languages were powerful in their impact. They were. All the languages were powerful. But English also was the language of the elite class. And English people, though they snatched away a lot of things from us, they actually, their intention was to rob us, rule us, and the so called civilization was a myth. They wanted their own interest to fulfill. To fulfill. So, but the only one good thing came, that is English language. Because as you know, today, had we not learnt English about 200 years back, now we would be clamoring to learn it because it is the global language. And all those countries in the world, 200 plus countries in the world, most of them, I think 180 around, must be following English as an important official language. And it is a lingua franca of the world. So India, under this rule of the foreigners, and on in the background of those people like Raja Ramon Roy and other Indian insiders who were in support of English education in India. So, along with them, they constituted committees and tried to introduce English into India. So, in courses, syllabuses, English was introduced, though Raja Ramohan has said that the preliminary primary education must be given in vernacular, the regional language. But afterwards, as the child will grow up, as we did in our schools, we the Odia medium students. But in the English medium, they start with English, and their children write miserable Odia. So, so this is how English, with the support of our Indians, also started coming to the courses, syllabuses, and English became popular. And we have already talked about the history of novel, history of drama. Today we'll talk about the history of Indian English poetry. How did it all start? Who is the father? So let me tell you that the father of Indian English poetry is Henry Derezio. But as you know, Henry Derezio was not actually an indigenous Indian in the sense that he was a hybrid. Henry Derezio, you see his background in the net, and you will come to know that he was not authentic in the sense not pure Indian. And nowadays it has no meaning because hybridity is the culture of today. So Henry Derezio in 1827 published for the first time poems in English from India in Calcutta, 1827, and the title of the book was called Poems. Poems 1827. So Indian English poetry started in 1827 with Henry Derezio, who wrote many patriotic poems also in praising the India as a mother, as a country. So, uh, for people who after Derogio, as you know, when he started, others also followed suit very soon. Some others also started writing. And when they started writing, what was necessary was two things. First, you have to use English, the language which is not spoken by you, because Indians are not born with the English language on their mouth, in their mouth. They are born with a different language. They have, and India is a multilingual country. We have Tamil, we have Telugu, we have Sanskrit, we have so many different languages. Odia is our language. Bengali is there. Tamil, Kannada, so many different languages, multilingual. And maybe English is being followed in the south more than in the north. But anybody who wanted to write in English had to fulfill two preconditions. One was to use the language or learn the language perfectly, sufficiently, so that he or she could use English for the Indian context. So English had to be Indianized to be able to express the reality of the Indian situation. So you must enable a language to speak about you. You have to internalize the language. You have to take it into yourself, internalize, assimilate. Okay. So number two is uh, Indians had to be sufficiently anglicized to use the English language to express themselves. Manners, dress. This is not very important, but it was being followed by those people who are using English language. Uh, but actually, after independence, things changed because we had professors in our state who were using dhoti and Punjabi, but they were speaking. They were brilliant teachers of English. So actually, grace and doesn't matter so much. What matters is address, the way you use language. So the British presence in India, however marginal it was um, after say 1825 till 1947, you know how Indians were fighting against the East Indian India Company or the Britishers, and uh, English people also started writing about India in English. But it was the Battle of Plassey in 1757, which was the turning point in Indian colonial history because it gave the British virtual control of one of the richest and most populous provinces of India, Bengal. 1757, they conquered Bengal. And the revenue administration also passed into the hands of the British. So when they controlled revenue, they had to appoint sufficient English educated persons to deal with the files and converse with them. So as Macaulay said, it was the aim of British education, English education in India, to create a few clerks who would be black in color but a British in temperament, so that they will be good servants or slaves to the British administration. So for administrative purposes, English was introduced into India. But subsequently, what happened? It boomeranged. Boomerang, is a tribal missile, handmade missile, which you throw to some spot, but again it returns to you. Again, if it cannot hit the right target, it will return and hit you. That is boomerang. So it boomeranged. English as a language boomerang because English became the language of liberation, and all the people who were educated in English, they became rebels, they became revolutionaries. You know how Aravinda also became a revolutionary and a rebel, but as you know, he had a diversion in the spiritual path, but he started as a revolutionary. Many rebels were uh, actually, in fact, trained in or educated in English. So Raja Rammohn Rai was a very liberal person who had a liberal outlook, and he just didn't want to emphasize Sanskrit. He said, yes, Sanskrit, let Sanskrit be there, other languages be there. And he said, but the establishment of Sanskrit college in Calcutta, it was, it should not be a Sanskrit college only. It should be a college which would teach all kinds of sciences, natural sciences, and social sciences. Social sciences. That means philosophy, mathematics, chemistry, anatomy, and everything else would be taught, so that students get a broad outlook and they pursue their pleasures of study, and they read in their own interest. So the impact of British colonization had the most important role in the introduction of Indian English poetry, like all other genres of writings, like novels and um, drama. All these things were written because of the English language, and because they were language. English language was the language of power. So language is power centric. So whoever exerts power, their language becomes dominant. So um, and as you know, all these Indian English poetry that we talk about, it started with Henry Thoreau, and Indian English poetry doesn't really engage directly with British colonialism or with several of its effects, which we have been trying to understand just now. But there may be few poems exclusively about racism, imperialism, nationalism, master narratives of our times, master narratives of our times. But nearly every poem in our course will deal with these issues, either directly or indirectly. For instance, there was a great number of contemporary poems on poverty, violence, urban condition, and so on. But colonial rule, directly or indirectly, became the subject matter of their writings. Henry Tereggio wrote sonnets lamenting the fall of India, and it is precisely this fall from which we have yet to recover fully, and which was the major outcome of the colonial intervention. So, it, patriotic, nationalistic poems were written during the beginning of this kind of poetry. Okay, do you follow? Do you follow?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Then let us come to the identity of Indian English poetry. So, how did it form the? You know, British literature. You must have studied Chaucer and other poets. So, English literature, the first English, the father of English poetry is Chaucer. So, from the Chaucer to the present day, there have been many poets in the English soil. Similarly, from Henry Tereggio till today, there have been many poets, including R.N. Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore, who got Nobel Prize in 1913 for his Gitanjali. Gitanjali again was a poem, a song offering to God. So Bikram Seth also he got not Nobel Prize, but he got Booker. But Bikram Seth's book was also a novel, but written in sonnet form. So poetry has been a much practiced genre of literature in the Indian soil, and Anglo-Indian that combination is no more there in use. It is called Indian English literature, not Anglo-Indian literature anymore. Uh, Indian English literature. So, hmm. Then if we come to, we move from Henry Tereggio to other poets of the earlier times. We will come to Nissim Ezekiel, modern times, the new poetry. And before that, we have Sarojini Naidu, we have Toru Dutt. Okay, these are the poets who wrote Indian English poetry. What is Indian English poetry? What are the trait, the central character of Indian English poetry? I think a trait of Indian English poetry was in the language was English, but the cultural content was the ethos, the situation, the social background, all the descriptions were about. You read Coolie or the Untouchable. The language is in English language has been Indianized. That means Indian subject matter has been put into the mouth of English, into the body of English. Okay, so this is how then came. Let us come to the uh, poetry of Henry Derejo first, I think. Yes, then we'll come to Torudat. Derejo and Torudat. Derejo was actually a Portuguese. He was Louis Vivian Derejo earlier, and he was partly Portuguese and partly Indian, like that. So Derejo, our first Indian English poet, is paradoxically remembered only as a forgotten Anglo-Indian poet. Forgotten Anglo-Indian poet. the father of Indian English poetry, is forgotten. Actually, he's not forgotten. Everybody remembers him, but it is sarcastically told like that. And Henry Derogio has written his first collection was poems, 1827. Then a metrical tale and other poems, 1828. And many of these poems today appear either juvenile or half finished. There is no doubt good lines, even stanzas here and there, but there is scant evidence of sustained poetic excellence. It is just the beginning, like a bird learning to flap the wings and fly, but the bird cannot fly properly, just a flapping stage. So Henry Derogio is the beginning of the that was the babyhood of Indian English poetry. So it was not quite mature. It was not excellent. It was just kind of a very lowbrow literature. Derogio, after all, he was barely 21 when he died. 21 years. John Keats died at the age of 26. Had John Keats lived longer, he would have been more famous than Shakespeare. But he died at the age of 26. And similarly, Henry Derogio, who started writing, had he lived, I think he would have become a great poet. But Derogio was who was the father in English poetry, couldn't live for much time. He died at the age of 21. And but he has produced some poetry which deserve recognition and credit because he was the beginner. And any beginning is also always a difficult thing. Beginning anything is difficult. And among his poems, we have the Fakir of Jangira. It's a long poem about Nulini, a high caste Hindu widow who is about to be burnt on the funeral pyre of her husband. The sarcastic writing, the satire on Sati system which was prevailing in India during that time, against which Raja Rammohn Roy also tried to fight a lot, and ultimately it was done away with. It was abolished, and uh, he has written some patriotic poems. You can read those poems on the net. Okay, I need not elaborate on that because we have a lot of things to cover. Then we have Toru Dutt. Like Henry Derogio, also died young. She died of that disease, consumption, and tuberculosis, which claimed so many precocious and talented artists and poets of the 19th century. Uh, so, they died of disease. Consumption means, I think, that is alcoholism. Born in 1856 in a well known westernized family in Calcutta, Toru Dutt. Westernized family in Calcutta. That means Toru had the advantage of good education and happy family environment. Both these factors were to play a crucial role in her artistic development. Gobind Chandra Datta, Bengali, father Bengali, and mother is English. So was a well-to-do Bengali gentleman, given to literary pursuits. Some of his poems were included in an extraordinary family anthology of Indian English poems, the Dutt Family Album, a collection of 187 poems by three Dutt brothers, Govind Chandra, Hur Chandra, and Girish Chandra. So when Torudat was 6-year-old girl, the entire family embraced Christianity. This did lead to a temporary engagement between the Toru's parents, the mother finding it difficult to have her ancestral religion, but after getting on to become an ardent Christian herself, this act of conversion, though it was not necessarily extremely wrenching or traumatic, is of great importance when you try to understand the cultural history of modern India. Many upper class Hindus upper caste Hindus converted to Christianity during the time of Reform and Revival. Madhubabu, also got converted into Christian. And Jayanta Mahapatra's father, Chintamani Mahapatra. Jayanta Mahapatra is a famous Indian English poet from India, from Odisha. His father also got converted into Christian. And there are other poets also like Kamala Das who got towards the end of her life, she got converted to Islam. So these things, I don't know why this happens. This happened, and so Toru Dutt has written many beautiful uh, poems, and let us see what she has written. Toru Dutt and Ramesh Chandra Dutt, uh, their cousins, made an important contribution. So they published Ancient Ballads and Legends of Hindustan in an example of translation of ancient myths into the late 19th century Indian English. A complex dynamics of self-reformation is evident in these poems. Toru's entire family converted to Christianity, thus moving out of their traditional Bengali affiliations to move closer culturally to English. Learning in English and becoming culturally closer to English. Because if you go to church, you listen to Bible, you talk with those people in the church, mostly are English people. So naturally, your cultural background also changes, and English becomes very easy to come to you as naturally as leaves coming to trees. And you can speak well, write well. That is how she wrote uh, uh, poems in English, which were very, very touching. Uh, Let us discuss one of her poems, The Lotus. The Lotus is a perfectly crafted poem with profound cultural implication. This may seem like a very grand claim to make at the very outset of the discussion, but let me tell you that even if you don't agree with the latter part of any my statement, the first part of it has the approval of the greatest authorities of Indian English literature, C.D. Narasimhaya. The Lotus then has been admired for its fine craftsmanship, its sensitive handling of language and sound, the balance of ideas, felicitous use of the sonnet form, and let us take a moment to appreciate some of these features. So, Toruda's sonnets have been quite beautiful, and you might have read her poem, Our Kajurina Tree. Our Kajurina Tree. The Kajurina Tree poem is a highly romantic poem. So you can read this poem in the internet. Our Kajurina Tree. Very romantic poet, Torudat. Sarojin Naidu also is a highly romantic poet. So let me recite a few lines from Kajurina Tree. This is what she writes in that poem. Are you listening? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You're listening?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So listen to her poem. I am reciting a few lines from her famous poem, Casuarina Tree. You understand what is Casuarina tree? It's a flowering tree, Casuarina. Hmm? Casuarina tree. It has golden yellow flowers and amply seen in coastal districts. Silence hath bound thee with her fatal chain, neglected, mute, and desolate art thou, like ruined monument on desert plain. Oh, many a hand more worthy far than mine, once thy harmonious chords to sweetness gave. Thy eagle pinion is chained down at last, and grovelling in the lowly dust art thou. Thy minstrel hath no wealth, sorry, Thy minstrel hath no wreath to weave for thee, save the sad story of thy misery. Well, let me dive into the depths of time, which human eye may never more behold. Let the guerdon of my labor be my fallen country, one kind wish from thee. So this is what she writes in a poem. A bit ancient kind of English, like during after 17th century only in England, proper English came into use. Before that, English was not proper. I mean, it was in a developing stage. Similarly, Indian English also has gone a thorough change through over the times, acquiring new usages, new words. From Hindi also we have borrowed words, lathi get out. These words are Indian words, but they are being used in Indian English writings. So then let us come to Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo, as you know, basically he was a highly intellectual person. He was a journalist, editor, literary critic, linguist, translator, essayist, short story writer, dramatist, and he was also a rebel against British rule. He was arrested on grounds of terrorism, but luckily he was released and he left home, his Calcutta, to and he went away to Pondicherry, where he established his ashram, and he became a spiritual person. He followed uh, great Indian tradition of yoga and became a, a famous yogi and a great writer also. And Aurobindo's books are quite famous. Aurobindo's most famous poem is Savitri. All of you know about the myth of Savitri and Satyavan, how Satyavan could how Savitri, the wife, who was a sati, she could save the life of her husband, dead husband, and get and compel Jamo, to return her Swami alive. So very powerful poem about the beauty and the tenacity and the love and the uh, great great love of Indian Sati women who were capable of defeating death. So true love is immortal, and that is what Aurobindo has. The myth says about that, and Aurobindo has written about it in his own words. There's an epic, and many PhD theses have been done on this Savitri. Besides classic, he has this is maybe his magnum opus, but he has written many other books. Among his prose books, I have already told you, The Life Divine, Synthesis of Yoga, The Secret of Veda. These are the things, but many poems also he has written, and among them the songs to Miritila, Tabre Orvasi, a poem, uh, Chitrangada, 1910. So these are some of collected poems and plays, poems past and present. Last poems, Sabitri was written in 1954. Then more poems, 1957. So these are a huge compendium of work written by. I don't know how many of you have seen Pondicherry and gone to his ashram. Such a beautiful place, and Aurobindo Ashram is a place where we breathe peace in the ambience. So this is how Aurobindo also has contributed tremendously. There is another book, Bride of Fire. Bride of Fire. So these are the famous writings which have been the Golden Light. Another. Then let us come to Sarojini Naidu. Sarojini Naidu was born in 1879, and she was the eldest of several children, of which eight survived. Okay, one second. So let us not discuss much about her life, and all that. We'll just read it. Her poetry, Sarojini Naidu is a highly talented. I think you must have read her poem Nightingale. So, as a poet, the first collection that she wrote was The Golden Threshold. The Golden Threshold, Threshold, in 1905. As a poet, really took, she took, so the book was reviewed and favorably both by the Indian and British press. The review is in the Times, published from London, Manchester Guardian, the Review of Reviews, the Morning Post, Athenaeum, Daily Chronicle, Spectator. All these great magazines published her poem. And the Golden Threshold remains Sarojini Naidu's best and most popular poetry book. And then she wrote The Bard of Time, then The Broken Wing. These are the some of the collections which she wrote. So, in the Bard of Times, he has treated the theme of love and death. As you know, poets generally, what do they write about? Anybody who can answer? What do the poets write mostly about? What are the themes of the poets generally?
Either about the
Nature.
nature or else like condition or particularly whatever condition is going.
Hmm. They only write about condition.
No, sir. I'm telling like about the nature. Like most of them have written like William
Arre,
Wordsworth
do
is
they
there.
write about human life or not?
Okay, yes,
Yes.
sir.
So, living,
Human
loving, and
life.
dying. Living, loving, and dying in relation to the human society and maybe the nature around or the currents of the time. All these things are the most favorable themes of writers: love, death, and living, the existential dilemma, the crisis of living and struggling for life. So these are the, and then you have a lot other thing. War is also another theme. War is also, there are many war poets who write about war. So say, these are the most important themes of loss, love. These are the most of the favorite themes of about dreams, about ideas, new society. So love and death were the themes of Sarojini Naidu's second
So the
book.
Nightingale on the Road was not written by the Sarojini Naidu.
Which one?
The Nightingale and the Rose.
Nightingale and the Rose was by Oscar Wilde, British sir.
Yes, sir.
British.
So you said, have you read about the Nightingale? So is there any poem, like separate poem of Sarojini Naidu?
Yes, he has written about the Nightingale. Uh,
Okay, sir.
Ode
Maybe
to
I have
Night,
not.
no, not Ode to Nightingale is by John Keats. Nightingale and the Rose by Oscar Wilde.
Yes,
That
yes, I also
poem,
by also there. That was the
by
poem we were reading like during school
Sarojini
time.
Naidu has the Palanquin Bearers. Then we have the Bangle Seller. These are the poems by Sarojini Naidu. Bangle Seller. Have you read that poem? Very interesting poem. How different colors of bangles,
Yes,
how
sir.
different are
Yes,
sold
sir.
by the bangle seller, how the
Yes,
women
sir.
come and flock around him, and how he sells these bangles, and how he also shares their life and all these things.
Yes, sir.
So, with Sarojini Naidu ends the romantic phase of Indian English writing. Then comes the phase of new poetry, NEW, new poetry. New poetry means it started a new paradigm. It started a new tradition, breaking away from the romantic tradition of the past. The romantic tradition set up by romantic and spiritual tradition, and patriotic also. Patriotic, romantic, and spiritual tradition of, say, Toru Dutt, Sarojini Naidu, Aurobindo, and others. So that phase was gone. Now, after independence in 1950s or 47, after 50s and 60s, there were acute problems in the modern India. And modernity, if you try to define it, is a critical phase in the human history. After independence, we had to face all the taxes, all the taxing things, because we had to reconstruct our, not only our society, our land, our Indian families. We had to rebuild our nation, reset our economy, and recover from the hangover of colonial rule. We had to free our mind from slavery. So many tasks were left for us to do. That is why most of the leaders of the freedom time didn't want to participate in the power struggle to occupy power. Occupying power and ruling is one thing, but trying to develop a country socially, politically, economically, and spiritually is the other thing. So in modern India, 1960s, there started a group of writers or poets. Today we are discussing only poets. A group of poets who are called new poets, and their theme was to experiment with modernity. Life had become modern. There are a lot of what do you say? There were a lot of tensions in modern family. So if you analyze one father of modern poetry, I think is Nishim Ezkiel, a Bombayite, and Nissim Ezkiel with the poem Night of the Scorpion began the modern era in Indian English poetry. Have any of you studied Night of the Scorpion? This poem, please respond. Anybody who has read Night of the Scorpion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
What is your
Yes, sir.
opinion about that poem?
This is scrupulous thought of the people.
Hmm? What?
People having so many scrupulous ideas about the scorpion biting the person.
Yes. There are so many attempts to assuage the pain which has been given by the scorpion in its sharp bite. The scorpion has stung the mother, and it has come in the heavy rain, and it has come to hide in the poet's house. And It has stung the poet's mother. So the reaction or the response to this sting, the sting operation of the scorpion was after the post sting operation was attended by people from the villages. They came with lanterns. So this shows how in rural India there is a community feeling. And the father trying all kinds of herbs and modern medicines, kerosene and other things, paraffin and other things. So this is how experimentation started in field of everything in life. People experimented with ideas, and till now also people are experimenting. Okay, and third thing is the Indian theme of sacrificial motherhood. Indian mother is a sacrificial person. After everybody in the house has eaten, she will take her lunch or dinner, and she will traditional women in India, they are highly sacrificial creatures, they're self-sacrificing, altruistic, and very much devoted to the family. And at the end of the poem, actually tells us, "Thank God, she picked my mother. She picked on my mother, and she picked on me and left others. Thank God, she picked on me and left others." The mother was happy that she was stung by the scorpion, and the scorpion had left the other family members and chosen to bite her only. So she doesn't mind suffering for the family, because had the children been stung, it would have been unbearable on the part of a mother. So this speaks volumes about the love of the mother for the family, children, and others. And Nissim Ezkel has actually he was publishing a book called a poetry journal called the Indian Pen, in the Indian Pen, and she was also the in charge of editor in several journals like Quest, Poetry India, Illustrated Weekly, the Indian Pen. I got few of my poems published in the Indian Poem when Ezkiel was alive. I think that is 1980s plus, 80 to 90 in between. So he also sent some copies to me, which I have preserved, letters to me. So he is actually the trendsetter of Indian English modern poetry, and he has written many collections like A Time to Change and other poems, 1952, 60 poems, 1953, The Third, 1958, The Unfinished Man, 1960, The Exact Name, 1965, Hymns in Darkness. These are all collections, 1976, Latter Day Psalms, 1982. And collected poems were published in 1989. He got Sahitya Academy Award in 1983. Let me remind you here that Jayanta Mahapatra was the first poet to get Indian this Academy Award. Jayanta Mahapatra got in 1981 for relationship, for his book Relationship, which actually has the Konark temple at the background. He is telling the saga of Odisha history and Odisha archaeology, architects, and Odisha culture, tradition, history, everything there in the book Relationship. So that book, and when Jayanta Mahapatra got this award, uh, ironically, Nissim Ezkel was in the selection committee. He was in the selection committee, but he didn't get that award first. Jayanta Mahapatra got first. Then in 83, Ezkel got this Sahitya, Central Sahitya Academy Award, which is in India is considered to be quite a big award. Um, Nissim has been called the father of modern Indian English poetry. So
Sir,
Bruce King, yes,
so the Jayanta Mahapatra was the first, he is the first one to get Sahitya Academy Award for the English literature.
English poetry. No other poet,
English poet.
English poet, writing English poetry got award before Jayanta Mahapatra.
Okay,
So
English
Odisha
poet.
is proud of a great song like Jayanta Mahapatra because he was the first person from India who wrote such good poetry that he got this award for the first time in Indian history. Then Nissim came. Then others followed. Darwala has got. So many people have got. Partha Sarathi and many others have got. But he is the first. After Jayant Mahapatra, no other Odia has got. Mm, they have got for other things. Like Ramakanta Mahapatra, Sitakanta Mahapatra. They have also got this. But they have got for Odia writings, not for English writings. Okay. So Nissim SKL is the founder of modern Indian English poetry. His most famous poem is Poet, Lover, and Bard Watcher, which comes from his collection, the exact name. In Poet, Lover, and Bard Watcher, he talks about how these three characters, actually, this poem is written in the light of Shakespeare's Poet, Lover, and Bard Watcher. Poet, Lover, and not Bard Watcher, Poet, Lover, and Mad. Poet, lunatic, and lover. Shakespeare, in As You Like It, has written because, as you know, Shakespearean plays are also filled with dramatic verses. So, in one of his dramatic verses, in As You Like It, Shakespeare wrote, "Poets, lunatics, and lovers are of all imagination compact. They see Helen's beauty in Egypt's eyebrow." Like that. But here, Ezekiel has changed a little and he says that poet lover, he has not talked about lunatics, mad people, he has talked about bar watchers. They are of the same category, highly imaginative people, and they're a beautiful poem, of course, and that establishes his reputation as a great poet. And then we have Kamala Das. Kamala Das is the first Indian English poet, lady poet, who writes about the body of a woman. As you know, Sarojini Naidu and others, they were highly romantic poets, no doubt, but they didn't deal with any complexities of life, the the problems of life, the difficulties of life, the pain of being starving of love. So Kamala Das used a language called body speak, and she wrote in the confessional mode. Confessional mode means all the atrocities on her body, because she was married to a person whom she didn't know at a tender age, and how she suffered from the outrage of the husband at an early age. So she has written a book called My Story. In My Story, Kamala Das writes everything about her life, including how she got puberty, how she got mixed up with a lot of men who promised love, but they didn't actually, they were not interested in love, genuine love. They were only interested in her body. So this is how she has written a lot of attacking poem on the patriarchal society, the patriarchal society where women are not allowed to enjoy all kind of freedom, whereas men enjoy a lot of freedom. And she published her first poems in the Indian Pen, which was being edited by SQL, and Illustrated Weekly of India also published some of her poems. So first collection of her poetry was Summer in Calcutta. 1965. Then The Descendants, 1967. Old Playhouse and Other Poems, 1973. Collected Poems, 1984. And she has also got she won Sahitya Academy Award for 1985. Besides poetry, she also writes short stories and also biography. She has written My Story, and she has also written that is a controversial autobiography because writing about sex was not quite new there then. And in 1974, she wrote about her sexual life in My Story. Anyhow, she has been a great, and I think after that, the soul knows only how to sing. That is the last collection, I think. Of but in your syllabus here, it is not given. The soul only knows how to sing. That the last collection where she has turned side and she has become highly spiritual in her dream of love. She is thinking of Krishna and she thinks of liberation, um, and she wants to live her own life as a monk, a kind of pilgrim. That is the theme of that collection. And after that, she um, um, towards the last part of her life, she I don't know why she took to Islam, and her name was changed. And that thing is not given here. You need not write about those things. Okay. This Kamala Das is a highly talented lady, and she's not highly educated. She may be intelligent and talent, not highly educated, but she wrote for the first time about the woman's typical problem in a male-dominated society, and that too in a language which was trying to subvert the kind of prescribed language, the language which was prescribed by the patriarchy. She subverted that language. She wanted to speak out her mind about every little thing that she felt as a girl and as a woman and a dissatisfied woman. And if you want to listen to some of her lines, I can read out a few lines. She writes like this. That's the poem, autobiography poem. There she writes, I am Indian, very brown, born in Malabar. I speak three languages, write in two, dream in one. Don't write in English, they said. English is not your mother tongue. Why not leave me alone, critics, friends, visiting cousins, every one of you? Why not let me speak in any language I like? You see, actually, what I also feel sometimes, that had she written, she has also written books in Malayalam language, Malayali, but maybe she has found English to be a language where she can talk about her private life very frankly and freely. And regional language, mother tongue, would not be that acceptable to the public. Maybe for that reason, she wrote in English, and for which she was criticized. And in this poem, she retaliates. She says, "Oh, let me choose my own language. What is your problem?" Because many Indians are also writing in English, and it's not binding on you to write in one language. Then you have A.K. Ramanujan, Arun Kolatkar, and Jayanta Mahapatra. A.K. Ramanujan was a South Indian, but he is a kind of, what do you say, this immigration. He immigrated. And he is an immigrant or diasporic writer. Arun Kolatkar is another poet. And Jayant Mahapatra, as you know, is an Indian poet living in India. He died only last year. He was 93. He had a severe this corona attack also. I went to his place when he had died to see to pay my last tributes to him uh, with flower and all that. So he was lying dead in his house. But this is all about his death. But when he was alive, we used to have a lot of chances to meet the poet and privately and talk to him and sit with him and visit places with him. So he was a sort of a um, guiding master, and he was publishing Chandrabhaga magazine from Odisha, where he was publishing criticism, poetry, and other things. So Ramanujan, let us begin with Ramanujan. Ramanujan was born in 1929, and actually he got a job at the University of Chicago after he qualified for after doing PhD in linguistics in Indian University on a Fulbright fellowship. He went to America, and there in the University of Chicago he remained till his death, 1993. So Ramanujan has done one wonderful thing. He has taken the Indian society into the fabric of his poetry and written about Indian lifestyle, Indian living. You have read one poem of his Ramanujan in your Alt English in +2, that is Ecology. Anybody who has read Ecology, a poem by A.K. Ramanujan?
No,
Hello?
sir.
Anybody had alternative English in +2?
Yes, sir, I had.
You must have read that poem. That was prescribed.
Yes,
That is
sir.
still prescribed. Ecology.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's a lovely poem by Ramanujan.
Raman.
Okay. And his another poem is A River, very famous poem, where he talks about. Actually, he has written about the river in Madurai. When I went to Madurai, I found that that river is almost a dead river. The river about he writes about river in the ancient city of Madurai. I went to visit Madurai, Meenakshi temple or some which temple I even forget. Big temple is there in Madurai. There's a lovely temple. Near that temple, I saw that river. Then he has written Meenakshi temple. Love poem for a wife. He has written love poem for a wife. One and many other poems where he finds. Then you have Jayanta Mahapatra. Jayanta Mahapatra is one of my favorite poets. And as I told you, Jayanta Mahapatra's his father, sorry, he had taken from Hinduism. He had been converted to Christianity during the famine, 1866 in Odisha. So Christian missions came to help of the people suffering from famine, and there they were changing the religion of people. And his father fell into the trap. He was converted to Christianity. But when Janamavada died, he said that you burn my body. His body was not buried; it was burnt in ashes. So he didn't believe in any particular religion. He was rather a metro kind of. He was very liberal in terms of religious activities. He loved everybody. He was uh, lover of all religions, and he was a professor at Ravensa College, where I was a student, and we used to see him from a distance and appreciate him. And afterwards, he became so good a friend of us that we came to understand him more and more as we studied his poetry and interacted with him. So he has written about 22 English collections. Close the Sky 10 by 10, first one, 1971. Swayamvara and other poems, that is then 1971 again. Father's Hour 1976, Reign of Rights 1976, and Waiting 1979, Falstaff 1980, Life Science 1981, Selected Poems 1987, Burden of Whips and Fruit 1988, Temple 1989, A Whiteness of Bone 1992, Relationship 1980. For this book, he got Sahitya Academy in 1981. Relationship is a magnum opus. Magnum opus, MAGNUM, magnum opus, OPUS. Magnum opus means the most important work by a person. So among his poems, we have many important poems. Uh, Dawn at Puri. And you must have read his poem, uh, Indian Summer. Indian Summer is another poem. Hunger. Hunger is one of his most famous poems, where he describes the deprivation and depravity of people in Odisha or in India. Evening Landscape by the River. These are some of his important poems. And I think The Lost Children of America is one of his very famous poems. A group of hippies moving in Kotak town. He has described them so beautifully, talking about the city of Kotak, its culture and its violence lanes, its stinking drains and all other things, good things as well as bad things, in a very uh, realistic manner. And he is considered to be next to HKL. I think Jayanta Mahapatra is the most important modern Indian English poet from India. And you have K.K. Darwala, you have Arun Kolatkar, you have R. Parthasarathi, you have many other poets. And upcoming poets, of course, are there, the modern generation. The, the new poets after 80s, 90s. I mean, in the beginning of 2001, 21st century. 21st century, for within this last 20 years, there have been also a lot of new poets, new poets coming to write. Arun Kolatkar is famous for Jejuri. Jejuri is a pilgrimage, a poem about pilgrimage to a renowned spot named Jejuri. So he has written a kind of epic, and that is famous by him. Jejuri, from which all the three poems that he was studying have been taken, is a rather special collection of poems. It got the Commonwealth Prize. The book describes a journey to Jejuri, a temple town near Pune. Jejuri is an ancient center of pilgrimage in Maharashtra. The presiding deity, Khandoba, predates most popular folk deities like Khandoba is worshipped by the Dhangar or the Sephard community in Maharashtra. So Jejuri, he has talked very realistically about this place and how people uh, are faking in name of religion. All these things are written in the book. Jejuri, low temple resides. Chaitanya. Mm. There are some quotations here from his book. You can read them. Then R. Parthasarathi and K.K. Darwala. R. Parthasarathi is famous for rough passage. His famous book is, or magnum opus, major collection is Rough Passage, 1977. R. Parthasarathi. He is a man from Tamil Nadu. Uh, he spent his time in Mumbai for his education. He was educated at Don Bosco School and Siddharth College. So Parthasarathi is also an important poet. Parthasarathi. He has edited one book, 20th Century Indian Poets, which has been published by Oxford University Press. He has also written Exile. Exile is another book by him. No, Exile, Trial, Rock Passage contains these chapters. That is Exile. Then you have Trial. Then you have Homecoming. Swart Parthasarathi. Then you have K.K. Darwala. K.K. Darwala came to Bhubaneswar about 3 years back. I have listened to him there. He was an IPS officer, but he is very pro proletariats. He is a great sympathizer of the Dalits, and he writes very sarcastically about the elite class or the bourgeois, and he talks about the common people. And he has edited a book called Two Decades of Indian Poetry, 1960 to 1980. Darwala is a very famous poet. He's a cynic because he criticizes all the negative aspects of our life, like poverty and other things. And his language is very powerful. Language is very powerful, and he talks about things in a as an insider, as an insider from the soil. So, so now let us take a break of 5 minutes. Then I will have a question answer session. Okay, you talk among yourselves. We'll have a question hour session after that.
Okay, sir.
5 minutes.
Okay, sir. सबने एग्जाम फॉर्म भर दिया क्या? Had all of you filled up your examinations form?
No.
No, we will be filling up soon. Actually, I'm a bit confused between how many papers I will appear. Once I will get clarified with that, I will apply.
Paper will be in offline mode.
Oh, I know that. I just said that I don't think paper will be online. Paper will be offline only. But I'm like a bit confused whether I will take two papers or four papers at a time. So that's why I'm waiting. Like I will have a talk with those professors if I get the number. If they can like give a rough
Yeah,
idea, then only we
that's
can.
totally your choice whether you have to give all the papers right now or two
Yes, yes.
papers.
Actually, the fact is that I am a non-literature student. Huh? Yeah, basically, my background is not of literature. So it is getting like little bit difficult for me to cope up with all this because the English we have read in our like that 12th and 10th up to all that. No? I had English up to 12. I had alternate English, English, everything up to 12th. After that, I changed like my stream was science, and then during PG, I changed. So that's why I'm getting like little bit. I'm getting little bit difficulties while reading all this. So
Hmm.
I'm little bit confused. So if I get a good mentor in between this 15 days I'm searching, if I get one, then I will go for 4 papers. If I didn't get one, then I will go for 2 papers. So that's why I'm waiting.
Actually, the books are available on Amazon. You can take help from them. You can buy it and you
Okay,
can read them.
books are available on Amazon, but at first, no, the basic like see, sometimes when sir is teaching, or whoever is teaching, like you'll see, they will be saying that you must be knowing this poem or you must be
And if
knowing
you
that.
want help, and if you want another help, you please take help from the YouTube. YouTube is the best option.
Yes, yes. Actually, I'm searching for like any videos which are related or like I'm going through. But the major stories, like major novels which you have covered like in that +3 graduation period, no? I don't know actually. During that degree period, what is covered, I have no idea at all. So I'm like bit confused. So let's see. I hope I will find a mentor and I will go for 4 papers. I have like 10 to 12 days in my hand. 31st is the last date, I think, but still I will be filling up early, little bit early, but I'm waiting. Like, at least 10 to 12 days I will search. If I will find one, then it's good.
Because one of my friend is also not from the literature background, and
Mhm.
she is studying from YouTube now.
Okay. YouTube, can you like separately say any particular channel or any link is there to like go
Yes,
through?
yes, I have. Okay, I will send the link in the chat. Wait.
Yes.
See, I have shared the playlist of MEG2.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you have MEG2?
No, I don't have MEG2. Actually, I'm MEG 5, 7. I have not choose for that British because I thought those will be little bit like
Okay,
hard for me. That's why I did.
let me share
Okay,
you
I have.
MEG5. Let me share you
Uh,
MEG5 and 7 because I have MEG3, 2, 5, and 1.
okay, I have MEG 5, 7, 10, and 14.
Yeah, I've shared the playlist of MEG5 also.
And thank you so much. I got. Do you have like seven or this MEG-7? Do you have?
Anyone of you submitted the assignments? किसी ने असाइनमेंट सबमिट करे हैं क्या?
नहीं, लिखे ही
No,
नहीं है।
last week is on 31st. No?
So are you all gonna write it or you will buy it from somewhere?
I don't
Is
know
it
if that is
sold?
like, yes,
Is
some
the
sites
assignments
are
are
there.
sold?
Yes, some sites are there. Somewhere they claim that you can order and directly prepared that whole thing will be come prepared with filing and all that. But I don't know how much true is that. So that's why I
But
prefer that I
the
will.
the IGNOU center will accept those things.
Yes, we are saying like it is acceptable and all that, but I don't trust. That's why I'm
What
like
is their
doing
expectation? Whether we handwritten or a printed one?
handwritten. Handwritten is only accepted. Handwritten on a full state like paper and a basic
Okay.
file. Not to go for a plastic one that's stick file, but basically either you normal that paper file you can go for or that spiral
Is a stick
binding.
file or rolled file?
No, don't go for the plastic stick file. Somewhere I have seen like new plastic file or something like that.
Cardboard file, cardboard
Yeah,
file.
Okay,
you
okay.
can go for like paper file.
Actually, I am from
We are busy with some other work, so we are not able to do. I think when other things will get over, only we'll start writing.
Uh, but the last date is March 31. Keep that in mind. If
Oh, March
you have
30. Yeah, I
done
have to.
most of
By
the
this week, I'll after 2 3 days, I'll start writing. There is no other option.
actually I have to
mine
submit
was
assignment on the LMS portal.
also. You have uploaded it.
No, no. Actually, for online students, there is a LMS portal. So I have to
Okay.
submit.
Wait, how to go through those things? I don't know. I am fully packed, so I didn't look only.
I have already submitted two assignments because I have to submit those all the assignments on LMS portal.
Okay. Actually, in
The
our case,
link
no,
which
we have
they have
shown.
given, we have to go through that or what?
For online
I,
students, there is a LMS portal.
Okay.
So all the online program students have to submit their assignment on that LMS portal only.
Okay, for us, we have taken, but we have, as we have chose already our study centers, we have our assigned study centers, so we will deposit there. From
Yeah.
there only, correction and all that will be happening. Then after that, they will just send the marks or something into the regional center. This is our
Yeah.
structure as much as I have gone through. So I don't know basically about others. Like whatever you are asking, no, if you are an online student, then it will be different. And if you're like a student, like I have, not everything is on online mode. Mine, I have choose a study center, but they didn't allow their less number of students were there or some maximum like more number of students were there, some issues were there. That's why we said we were advised to attend this online classes. So I don't know, whatever you have chose for that way only you
Actually, there are two
the
mode. ODL mode is online distance learning, and second mode is online learning.
okay, that is well, I think.
So those students opted ODL mode, they have to submit their assignments offline at the centers. And those who have opted online mode, they have to submit their assignments on the LMS portal.
Okay.
Hello,
Okay.
hello.
Yes, sir.
Shweta, our exams reschedule also upload here.
ଶୁଣ ଏକ୍ଜାମ ରିସିଡ୍ୟୁଲ ଯଦି ହେଇଥିବ ତାହେଲେ ମାନେ କଣ କହିଲ ତାର ନୋଟିସ ଟା ଆସିଯିବ। ଏବେ ଗୋଟେ କି ନୋଟିସ ପଠେଇଥିଲା ଗ୍ରୁପରେ ରିସେଣ୍ଟଲି ମୁଁ ଦେଖିଥିଲି ବଟ୍ ସେଟା ମତେ ଲାଗୁନି ଟେଣ୍ଟେଟିଭ ଡେଟ୍ ଅଛି ମାନେ ସେଦିନ ହେଇପାରେ ନ ବି ହେଇପାରେ। ଫାଇନାଲ ଟା ମତେ ଲାଗୁଛି ଆସିଯିବ ଯୋଉ ଏଥିରେ ଅନଲାଇନ
Like
ମାନେ ଫୋନ
expected date.
डेट शीट हैज ऑलरेडी कम डेट शीट आ गई है 1 जून से एग्जाम्स हैं
बट आई थिंक दैट वाज अ टेंटेटिव वन नो
नो एग्जाम्स आर इन जून ओनली
okay June only but the dates are tentative or clear that that is the final one.
they are saying that it is tentative but it will be confirmed the date will be those only
That's what I'm trying to say. Or it is there, but I think it is there in the tentative mode.
I
Anything can
don't
be
think
like,
so that date will be changed now.
yeah. But as per now, as they have mentioned that tentative, because in that file it's mentioned that it's tentative. So not
Yes
to go
sir.
for that, for sure June exam will be
Okay,
there on June.
children, are you done? Or you want to discuss anything more?
No sir, done.
No, sir, no.
You discuss after I have finished. Okay.
Okay sir.
Oh, yes, sir.
Actually, yesterday what happened? I was under the 200% the impression that the yesterday was 10th. So
Yes, sir.
somebody
Yeah, I
every
had
And
sent message since some students were asking here in the class that whether sir is aware about the class or not. So I had immediately from the group I had sent.
I said, why didn't you give me a
and
call?
sir,
I
I
had
called
three
you.
calls, four calls,
Yeah,
sir.
you called me.
Sir, I had
You
made a
called
call
me on the
also,
phone.
and
I,
it was
Yeah,
I
not
four
responded.
calls.
Then I sent a link along with a message also.
oh I didn't actually I don't have your number. Your name
Yeah,
is
yeah, it was Bimala Naik.
eh?
Bimala Naik.
Bimala.
Sir,
You gave a
sir,
call.
I called you.
Yes, sir. I
No, sir,
have
I
given a
called
call
you.
also, sent a message also.
Acha, Bimala, you gave a call. You give your number to me. You send the number to me. And tomorrow I'll be 4 o'clock
Tomorrow is
class.
last class, sir. Tomorrow,
No, not
think.
last class. No, not last class. Sunday is the last class. This
Sunday.
11th class
Okay,
has
sir.
been shifted to 17th and
Yeah, yeah. 17th,
17th 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. Yes, sir.
11 o'clock will be 11 o'clock will be daytime. Hello.
Yes. Yes, sir.
So why I am telling? You just remind me 1 hour before that. Otherwise, I
Sir,
may again forget
sir,
because
I called you over phone.
I don't know why as I am aging, slowly I am forgetting.
Yeah,
No, sir,
it's
that's why
okay.
I called you over like in call only. I called you, not in WhatsApp. I called you, but you were in some other call, so it responded like
So what
busy. And
happens
then
to me also? I am also not in the habit of taking unknown numbers. So then, what is the technique? First, you message that I am an IGNOU student. You had a class, though I so and so
I,
was calling. Then
sir,
only
I
I will
already
receive your call.
I तो
Because
already had called you.
nowadays there are many fraud calls, there are many unnecessary calls. So normally I don't take up. I receive these unknown numbers. I
Sir,
avoid. I disconnect unknown number calls. That is
okay,
my
sir.
problem.
Actually, beforehand, I had a talk, I had a talk with you like over WhatsApp call. So maybe
Acha.
I thought ki, sir, and Shweta only. So I thought ki maybe sir will recognize the number and all. That's why I called over the
No,
call
I
only,
didn't
like not on.
recognize. I didn't recognize because I have a problem. Unless I have stored your number as IGNOU student, I won't recall you. That is my problem also. So for tomorrow, the class is guaranteed. We will be discussing Tara by whom? Hmm? Mohes Dattani. That's a drama. Okay. Mohesh Dattani's Tara we will discuss tomorrow at 4 o'clock. But Sunday we will discuss that story, that part which we have left out, or which could not be done on 11th, will be done on 17th Sunday 11 a.m. So, which Naik? You are Bimala Naik, and the
I'm
other girl is
Shweta.
named as your
Shweta,
name?
sir. Sir,
Moitri
Sweta
Acharya.
and
Shweta.
Moitri
Sweta and
Acharya.
Sweta and Bimala are given the responsibility of just giving him a call at around 10 o'clock on Sunday,
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
reminding me
Yes,
the
sir.
sir,
Same link या other link?
Same
no,
link,
not
same
link,
link.
same link,
Okay,
but
sir.
my number, please note down. You have my number.
Yes, sir. I
Sir,
have
that day
your
you had
number.
said, so we
Yes,
have all
sir.
said.
Also have.
Okay. So my number, give a call and tell me that I am. Let me store your number. Bimala, you used to send your number in the group. I will
Sir,
record it. Huh?
sir, I
Or
think
you send it to me. To me.
sir,
You
I
send it
think
to
you
me.
have my number. Sir,
Bimala number.
no, sir, Shweta.
Shweta number.
Sure.
Acha, let me find out. If I have, I don't have, then how will you give
Yes.
me? Shweta, you again send your number to my WhatsApp number.
Okay, sir.
You
Actually,
write
I today I
ignore.
saw your sir today actually in WhatsApp, no, your status I can see like the poems and all that you have posted of your posts, no, that I
Huh?
can see. So that's why I think you have saved my number.
Maybe, but your name might not be there.
Okay,
Just ignore student
okay,
like that.
okay, sir. I will today I will I
I'll,
will
I remember. I will remember that Sweta. I don't know whether I'll remember, but I'm not 100% sure. But you write Sweta, IGNU student, and you write Bimala, IGNU student. Okay, and you
Yes,
send your
sir.
numbers. I will store them and give me a call tomorrow. For tomorrow, you need not give a call because it's a consecutive class. Because in the meanwhile, what happened? There was a break of 3 days. So that break of 3 days created an illusion that I am in infinite holiday. So nowadays, after retirement, I am enjoying holidays. Not really enjoying, I am doing a lot of things. I am doing a lot of things: paper correction, question making, writing, publishing poetry books. Now I am going to publish another poetry book. So my 15th collection will be out very soon. So for that also I'm working hard. And publishing a book is not a simple job. It's very difficult. You have to compile all your poems, edit them, then send it to the press.
yes, sir.
The press will again send you back. You will read it, re-edit, collect your cover page, this, that. So many things are there. So my ebook I have given you already. Um, so now let us discuss questions. If I have any questions, please ask me. Some of the students are saying bye bye or something.
No, sir,
How
they are
many?
clapping.
All are there.
They're there. Okay.
Sir,
Are you
it's
enjoying my? Are you enjoying my class, or am I becoming hasty or quick or something? You could comment on my way of speaking or any problem you have. You can be free.
no, sir,
No,
it's
sir.
okay.
Just okay, na?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Just okay.
No,
No,
sir,
sir.
just okay, not.
You won't say that it is good or better or best. You won't say. You just
Sir,
okay.
sir, best.
So that means you are underestimating me.
No, sir,
No,
not sir.
sir.
It does not mean, sir, underestimate. Don't think, sir.
What does it mean?
No, sir, best always.
Best. Okay.
We are getting good information about various things along with the lessons.
Actually, lessons are already, you can read it, but all these things, Parthasarathi came to Revensa, your Sip K. Kumar came to Revensa, Darwala came to Bhubaneswar Kalinga Literary Festival 2 years back. So some of the Jayant Mahapatra was just living in my own town. He died only a few months back. So I used to go every sometimes very often I used to visit his house and sit with him, sip tea and discuss something or talk any nonsense and come back. So I am the habit of meeting people around. Nowadays, I'm not going anywhere. I'm only going to places where I'm called to give a talk, seminars, or resource persons like that. But I'm not engaging any regular classes with anybody. Maybe at this time I may go to a university after a few days, or after a month or two. Within a month, I may join some university, but that depends. If the conditions are okay, I'll join. Otherwise, I won't join. I have applied. If I get, I will think of, because I can work for another 5 to 10 years. I'm not that old. I'm forgetting a lot, but I'm not that old to teach. I can teach up to 70, 70, 75. I can teach. Then I won't feel like teaching. I will start learning. Okay, you ask questions about poetry. Also, among you, let me ask a question to all of you who are present. What is the difference between prose and poetry? What is the basic difference? Anybody who can tell? I'll give you a chocolate. I'll give you a chocolate when I meet you. If you can tell.
Oh, sir, in case of poetry, no, in like very few words, so many things are said. While the same thing when we say in the prose, it takes a like lot of words are
The
like
the
that.
best words in best order. The best words in best order is poetry.
Yes.
But prose is a loose sally of the mind. Sally, Sally, Sally means work, light work. So prose is called the loose sally of the mind. Whatever you think, you write. But the poetry is the best words in the best possible order, in the best order. Order means it is arranged in such a way that rhythm comes out of it and it becomes a song like thing, or a poetry is not exactly song. Song can be song. Poetry cannot be, all poetry cannot be song. Poetry is different from song. ଯେମିତି ଆମ ଓଡ଼ିଆରେ କୋଉ ଗୀତି କବିତା ଆଉ କବିତା. So there is a difference between poem and a song. Okay, a poem is the best words in the best possible order. You remember such short definitions. Prose, the loose sally of mind. Novel, a fiction telling a story. Okay, Or nowadays there are no stories at all. In fiction also you don't find a story. In drama you don't find a story. So modern fiction and modern drama is different. Okay. So any more questions, or shall we say goodbye?
Okay, sir.
So any responses? Anybody wants to speak something? Arey, you learn to speak. If tomorrow you will be a lecturer, then what will
Sir,
you speak?
sir, what do difference means is story and prose?
Story and prose.
Yes, sir.
Story is in prose. Story is in prose, telling a story. Story tells a story. But prose is not basically story. Prose may be factual. Prose may be experimental. Prose may be empirical, research oriented. Prose
Sir,
can be. Hmm. Yes.
real and reality.
Huh?
Sir, prose will be real and reality. Difference means
Prose, not only reality, it can talk about anything, any matter on the under the sun. Prose can discuss in chain of words arranged in paragraphs. Prose is written in terms of paragraphs, but poetry is written in terms of stanzas. Poetry is stanza wise. Stanza 1, stanza 2, stanza 3, like this. Poetic paragraphs are named as stanza, Stanja. But prose paragraphs are paragraphs. They're not stanzas. Because stanzas is basically lyrical. There's certain, even if it is not consciously lyrical, like a conscious rhyme scheme is there, ABCD, ABCD, like that. But there is a rhythm within it. Poetry should be rhythmical. Look good for the ears to listen to.
Sir,
Yes. Hmm.
sir, did we also have to read about the origin of Indian English poetry?
Yes, Henry Derogio is this is how he started writing about the then time when India was not free. He wrote some patriotic poems and poems. His collection name is Poems. Therefrom started poetry. Indian English poetry started in 1700. I said that word year 1778, I think. Okay. Then it took flight. It went on. It progressed, and ultimately it has come to this stage where you have Jayant Mahapatra, you have Kiki Darwala, you have many other poets also. So one historian named Satish Kumar has written a book, written a history book, History of Indian English Poetry. He has included my poems in the post 21st century, in the 21st century poetry. That article is there with me. If you want, I can share with you. He in his history book, he has taken three poets with me, and he discusses my poems in about 10 pages. Details about how my poems are relevant, what is the theme of my poems. So because I have about 14 collections of poetry, Satish Kumar, professor from which university? He is from Bareilly University. He has written about my a full-length article on my poetry in his history of a survey of Indian English poetry published by Prakash Book Depot (PBD) from
Okay.
Bareilly. And the Satish Kumar has written many books: history of English novel, history of English drama, history of English poetry, Indian English poetry, and many other books. So that the gentleman, he is still there. Sometimes he rings me up. Now he's not in a very good health condition, but he loves my poetry very much, and he has written a full-length chapter about my poetry. And my poems have been introduced in some colleges of Odisha.
Okay, okay.
So, so students in honors are reading my poem.
Sir,
Black.
as I am reading Sir, as I am reading in the book, there is a question that discuss the narrative technique in Salman Rushdie's novel Midnight Children.
A narrative technique is past, present, past, present, again past. The movement is to forward and backward, forward and backward. This is the narrative style. And who is narrating that story? That story is being narrated by whom? Salim.
Salman Rushdie.
No, no, the character name. Salman Rushdie is the novelist. Through a character, he is trying to tell the whole story. Okay, that is the narrative technique. How he is using the voice of a person to describe things and history of India, how it has been incorporated into the text, and those children who are born at the strike at the stroke of the midnight, those children, 1001 children, how they possess a great power, a different kind of power. Okay, they're highly intelligent. They can foresee. They can see into the future of things. So, and the problem of India at that time. So that is that how he has discussed. What is his style of language? What is the pattern of his plot? What is his characterization style? All these has come under the narrative technique.
And sir, what
Okay.
is post-modernist text?
Postmodernist means after modernism, after T.S. Eliot and others, modernism, now after 80s or 90s, after 90s, say, this is postmodernism after the Second World War, uh, much after Second World War, this modern postmodernism has come to our life. Postmodern
Give it.
situation, postmodern situation is a situation where modernity is questioned, and postmodernity can be discussed as a growth after modernity, and it is a time when there is uncertainty in the wind, there is war in the atmosphere, there is distrust, there is broken family, there is envy, there is loss, there is pollution, ecological problems. These are the things which come under the postmodernistic writings. The modernist writings take up the most contemporaneous issues and write about that. And they write in a different form. Even modern writings were having stories. Modern novels have stories, but postmodern novels, they don't have stories in their novels.
Okay,
They
sir.
write in a different style. Okay, Arundhati Roy's The God of Small Things can be called be a postmodernist novel. Salman Rushdie's Midnight Children is a postmodernist novel. So, postmodernism is a theory which is built up by the theoreticians to discuss the aspect of a time, modern times, postmodern times. That is called postmodernity.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, good night. Good night. I will meet tomorrow at 4. Please be there to discuss
Yes,
Salman,
sir.
the Mahesh Dattani's Tara, my drama by Mahesh Dattan. Okay, thank
Yes.
you.
Okay,
Bye.
sir. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Thank you.